Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how I made a light from my Makita router. This is useful for when I'm filming or if I just want to see the bit a little bit better while I'm doing a carve. Stick around and I'll show you how I made this. If you're interested in making my Makita router light, then here are all the parts that you're going to need. You're going to need these 3D printed parts. This is the housing that holds the ring light. It has a little M3 bolt and nut here that you can tighten, and it should secure around the router throat there. You'll need the sanding guide that I created to be 3D printed as well as a switch and crimp connector. It's like a spring terminal connector that you're going to need for attaching the wires to. So first of all, you're going to need some wire, and you could use pretty much any wire you want. I use 24 gauge. It could be individual strands, but I bought this stuff here because it's in a sheath and it's a little bit better to have everything kind of all in one so that it just runs along the side of other cables easily. And I'll be using this short length, which is about 60 centimeters, to go from the actual light to the router. And then for the rest, to go all the way down to a power supply, I'm going to use the longer length here. I'll have to obviously cut it to whatever length I need. And then you're going to need to power the ring light with 12 volts. This is a 12 volt, 1.5 amp AC adapter, and it's got the right DC plug on the end here that will fit into these guys, which just plugs right into here. And then you can attach your wires right on the end. So it's very easy to connect this to power. You're going to need maybe some E6000 glue. I use this a lot. It's great glue for this application. And you don't need to use a ferrule connector like I have here, but it's a really great little product, so I'll show you how that works. And then you're going to need these little spring clamps. Now you don't have to use these. You can solder directly to the switch and to the light, but I'm going to use these so that it's easy to take the wires off if I need to. This is a white one. It came in a pack for another project. I have a lot left over, so I thought I'd use these up. And so I took two of them and I color coded them red and black with just a permanent marker, and I'll show you how that gets attached to this guy here a little bit later. And then I just had this switch lying around. You can buy these off Amazon in packs of 10 or so, and I will show you how that gets connected with that. These little number 4 screws here are used to attach the spring connectors on there. Probably don't need to, they're going to snap in pretty tightly, so that's okay. And then you're obviously going to need to get this 12 volt automotive LED ring light. So when I ordered this, it said that the internal diameter is 63 and the external is 80. And it was pretty accurate when I got it. What I really wanted to know from the company is if I was able to sand this a little bit, I need to get it to 65 instead of 63 because the Makita router is the throat is 65 in diameter, so this needs to fit over top of it. And they wouldn't get back to me, but what I did is I took a chance. I created the sanding, little 3D printed sanding guide, and I'll just show you how that works. You just stick this guy in here, and then you can see there's a little white edge all the way around here. That's what you have to sand off, and just put it on a drum sander, and it actually worked really well. And now this guy is 65, just a little bit over 65, so it easily fits over the Makita router. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to go and do the sanding on this. I'll just show you how that works. And then we're going to attach longer wires to this, which are this one here that I talked about. And then we're going to glue this inside of here, obviously the other way around. And I'll show you how to center that properly and let it dry to go on to the next step. So let's go take care of that. we're going to do now is take this lead off that came with the ring light and attach this longer one here that we're preparing. So first thing I'm going to do is just put some solder on here to tin this. And then what we're going to do is take off this by just putting a bit of solder tip on to the end and pull it through. Make sure you put your positive back on the inside loop and the negative on the outside. There we go. And we'll just trim off the excess. And we're ready to go and have this installed. Before we install it, let's just make sure that the LED ring light is working. I'm going to turn my power supply on. And I've got it set to just under 12 volts. And I will power this up. Very bright, and you can see that on the power supply we're drawing 0.175 amps, so that power supply we got is more than adequate to drive this because it's not even half an amp, so that's great. I think the best way to make sure this is all centered and glued in is eventually this is going to go in this orientation right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our cable through the hole that's right here. Make sure it sits down flush. But before we do that, we're going to add some glue to these 5 tabs right here. So I'm just going to use some E6000. Put it upside down. Tighten it up a bit. Just get it staying in one position. And just make sure that, a bit more tight here. And just make sure that the LED is sitting down flush on there. And just let that dry, and then when it's dry, we'll pop it off, flip it around, and then install the switch. Time to hook up the switch, and what we've done is, so far I've just plugged this spring connector section here into this 3D printed mount. They snap in, and you can actually add a screw here and just screw it in if you want. We're going to just maybe do that later. For now, we're just going to go with that, and our switch is going to go in the center. Now, what I've done is I've made up a little wire here. It's about 9 centimeters long, and it's got these ferrule connectors on the end. I'll show you how they're attached, but for now, we're just going to plug that guy into there, plug it into there. So our switch has negative here, goes around negative, negative here, and then our positives are going to be in the center. Next, we're going to take 2 of these red wires for the positive. You can see I've already tinned one side. The other side is ready for a connector, so I'll show you how that looks. We're going to just stick in the connector there like that. And then we have a self-crimping little machine here that you just scrunch it and it comes out solid connection. Do that on the other one. I mean, you could just solder these and plug them in too, that would work. But since these are so easy to use and make such a good connection, I just go with these. And as you can see back here, there's a whole bunch of colors to choose from in different sizes as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mount the or we're going to solder the wires onto the switch. Doesn't matter what side of the switch you choose. With that one there, we want them coming out in the same direction. Like that. So now, when I take this and stick it in here, our switch is in there with the wires coming out. Actually, let's redo this. That's in upside down, because what I did is I made a slot here on this side for the wires to come out. So let's just reverse that and put these in here like this. There we go. So these wires that come out, they're just going to attach to the positive spring connectors. So one on that side and one on that side. All right. So we've got, what we'll do is these two connectors here are going to go to the wire that goes all the way to the power source. So these two ones here are going to go to our light. So it's going to come in, the ground's just going to be hooked up to ground, but as the light power comes in here, it's going to go through our switch so we can turn it on, and actually the other way around, the power is going to come in this way, turn it on, and it's going to go out to our switch. So that's the little setup there. You could do this any way you want. You could just not even have a switch. You don't even have to have these connectors. You could solder it in directly, but I wanted to have some way of just being able to quickly disconnect this and take the light off of the router if I wanted to very easily. So that's why I came up with this little system. And you can just kind of bend these wires down a little bit. And then once this is mounted onto the top somewhere, you can just like hot glue this on somewhere near your router's top or on the side or whatever, and then it's easy to mount and take off if you need to. Let's put in these two screws just so it's a little bit more secure. They went in well. And then to hold this guy in, I'm just going to add some hot glue to the back. Grab my glue gun, put a dab of hot glue in here, shoot it in, and that should be good to go. We'll let that dry, and we have a switch for our Makita light. Here's the setup on my Makita router. I've got it just on the base of the Makita shaft there, and then I run the wires up, and I created these clips here. One goes on the main power of the router cord, and then these smaller ones that attach here, so you can pop these off if you have to take the light off for whatever reason. So there's another one here, another one here, and then it goes up to my switch mount right there, which I just hot glued on, and I put the terminal connectors on here so they're easy to pop off. And this end goes to my drag chain into there, which follows down here and then wraps around all the way through here, comes around here, and then back down to here, where it meets up with the power cord for my transformer. And the interface is this female DC connector, so red to positive, black to negative, and then that wire goes to my transformer, which I just have plugged into the surge protected bar here for all of my other accessories. So let's turn this on, see what it looks like. Just flip the switch and we got magic. So it's pretty bright, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a shadow there, but if you move this down and just adjust it, shadow goes away, and we have lots of room for my original dust boot as well. Pop on. So I haven't used it yet with this light system. Thought it'd be great to shoot some videos with it, shed some more light on this. And if you would like to build one, it's pretty easy to do. It's theoretically, it's very inexpensive because you're just really buying the ring light, which comes in a pack of 4 for around $11 or $12. It's an automotive accessory. But then I had these other parts laying around because I build a lot of things. But if you have to order switches, you get them in a pack of 10, unfortunately. And same with these wire spring connectors. I think they're in a pack of 50 or 100 or something like that. But I had a bunch of those. The only other thing I bought was this wire because it came in a sheathing with a double conductor in here, which is easier for my drag chain. And I already had the transformer. I keep transformers people throw away and just put them in a box because they end up being useful later on down the line. So that's the Makita light. Hope you like it. Shut it off for now and tell me if you're going to build one or if you built one. I'd like to see what it looks like on your Makita router. Thanks for joining me on this fun project. I'd love to see some of your Makita ring lights. Until then, God bless you, and we'll see you real soon.